during the summer to work on their post move.
Absolutely.
He need to run like a 2-week fantasy camp, right? Just be like, coaches, come hang out with me for 2 weeks.
Yep.
They ain't even got to teach them nothing. They need to be able to say on their resume, I went to the Sean McVay Academy.
He doesn't even need to do the thing where he gives them a template of a letter of recommendation. No, just we'll get a photo. People will believe it.
Drop my name. It's cool. Say I sent you there.
He could just sell LinkedIn endorsements.
Could work.
That would be. First name, though. Kyler Murray. Because Susan Slusser of the San Francisco Chronicle reports that the A's now expect Murray to forego that $4.66 million baseball contract and enter the NFL draft. So, Bo, are you starting to come around on the idea that this could be a good idea for this guy?
No, why would I come around? What about football being wildly dangerous has changed since the last time we talked about this? Man, Russillo, I saw he said something on Twitter about playing football, and he's like, well, career-ending injuries don't happen that much anymore. That's actually kind of the problem. It's not career-ending injuries, just injuries that can make you miserable and invalid for long stretches of your life. I think he should take that safe baseball money, but he wants to be a quarterback, it seems. And if this is what's going to make him happy, I can't tell him to follow good sense rather than his heart, I guess.
Well, that's the problem, because as his hypothetical parent, I am with you. Do not play football. None of my hypothetical children will play football. But I do think Kyler Murray appreciates and lusts after the idea of being QB1. He knows that where he's going to go is Benoit, Wisconsin, where he's going to make less than minimum wage, and then he's going to go to like Stockton, California, and Midland, Texas, and he's going to do that for 4 to 5 years. Meanwhile, he just watched his pal Baker Mayfield strike a path, right? Be the guy who wins the Heisman at OU, then go be the Rookie of the Year.
Okay, now, I don't think he'll be in the minors for 4 to 5 years. Like, that's basically saying we don't think he's going to get to the big leagues till he's, 26, 27?
Nothing's guaranteed.
Right. Nothing is guaranteed. Nothing about playing in the NFL is guaranteed either. The idea is that you can get the money off of a first-round contract, and yeah, you might be able to pull that. And I think there's a good chance that somebody will make the risky decision to take him fairly early. You're still playing football, right, in the end. So, yeah, I get the idea that he is maybe the greatest high school football player in the history of the state of Texas. There's a cachet that comes from that. His father played quarterback in college, did not get the chance to play in the NFL. I imagine all those things come together. But that doesn't make this any better of a decision. What I would love to see, though, is he has to be at camp with the A's, I think, on the 10th or the 11th of February. The scouting combine is on the 26th. He really doesn't have to go to the combine.
No.
There's nothing that means that he can do pro days and everything else, and the NFL teams get all the information that they're looking for. I don't feel like he should feel forced into a decision, even though the good decision is go get that money that doesn't involve being maimed.
Well, the problem is that when he goes and gets measured, they're going to find out that he's probably actually a little bit shorter than 5'10", and as a person who is a true 5'10", I will say, watching OU and Alabama in that game, it was a little scary. The upside is that he had 400 some odd combined yards and 3 touchdowns, but do you think that teams can take him over a Dwayne Haskins in this particular draft?
I don't think we have gotten this far this fast where somebody's taking a 5'9" quarterback at the top of the draft. All right, I just don't think that
even if the sport is going all this way.
But the sport is going in the way of spread and the changing of offenses. It doesn't change the paradigm of height that much, right? Like, it has changed to a place where you could have these air raid type guys out here, but I don't think that means that a 5'9" and whatever he weighs quarterback is something that a lot of GMs are going to feel comfortable leaning into early in that draft. My favorite part of this is you saying how your kids aren't going to play football as though the coach wouldn't make that decision for them.
How dare you? My kids will be very full of testosterone and very muscular. They just don't want to engage in the brutality.
Where are they going to get it from? I've met you and your wife.
We are.
The next name is Adam Gase. Just 10 days after being fired by the Dolphins, the Jets have hired Gase to be their next head coach. Pablo, if you're a Jets fan, are you excited about this?
I am not, but if I read the New York Post, I am, because the New York Post and the Daily News and the tabloids are loving this, Bo. They are loving this because this is a volatile man emotionally. We've seen him bristle in press conferences. The word around him is that he doesn't necessarily handle his temper all that well, and his last name is Gase, which is very easily punnable. Face, disgrace, race, all of these things make it a lot of fun for the New York media to eat him alive.
Well, here's my thing, man. If I was a Jets fan, no, I wouldn't be excited about hiring him. What the hell would excite me if I was a Jets fan? I'd have quit that narcotic long ago. I don't understand what it is about you. Brandon, you in the house. I don't know why you keep doing this stuff either.
That's right. Howie in D.C.
We got Jets fans all over the place, and ain't a single one of them said a word to me yet about Adam Gase. Not a one.
No one has.
Nobody's been like, hey, man, what you think about, this happens you working this job, right? The crew asks you questions. What do you think about this? Anybody ask me nothing about Adam Gase?
I asked Howie, no response.
No. Here's the thing for me, though, about the Gase hire as it relates specifically to the Jets, which is Sam Darnold, right? They made a hire for their quarterback. Now, Gase has gotten his name in this for two things. His work with an already formed Peyton Manning, which I don't think you can give him that much credit for. Because,
I agree.
Yeah, being able to design an offense for Peyton Manning is different than being able to design one for Sam Darnold. But designing one for Jay Cutler is kind of similar to designing one for Sam Darnold because they have some of the same problems.
Yep.
But
turnovers.
It felt like, Gase took the turnovers away from Cutler, but didn't really turn Cutler into some great quarterback when they were in Chicago. So I am not sure that this is the best fit for Darnold if you see Darnold as a high ceiling guy because Gase might be someone who actually lowers the ceiling while raising the floor.
Yeah, and it's weird to get a self-described quarterbacks guy in when you have the resume of the last 3 years in Miami. And I know Tannehill was hurt, other injuries on that team, but they went from like 16th to 20-something to 20-something in offensive DVOA. It's just hard to really be excited about a guy who's an offensive guru when that's the resume, right?
And again, I would like to take this opportunity to remind people that being the head coach is not being the offensive coordinator, which raises questions about what are you going to contribute to this defense? What are you going to contribute there? Because it's not like the Dolphins are setting the world on fire over there either.
And there's ego management. This is a guy who has feuded with Jarvis Landry famously, with Ndamukong Suh. And if you are in New York, any city, ego management is such a key part of being the head coach, which is a management job as much as it is that schematically oriented thing you described.
I would also like to note, and I think this can be easy to lose sight of, Jarvis Landry was a lot better in Cleveland, at least from what I saw, than he was in Miami,
yes,
right? But I'd say, again, as the head coach, you don't just coach the quarterback, you coach these other guys too. So I know the direction everybody's going in with this, but it's like they got the hotshot offensive guy from a cycle 3 or 4 years ago.
Good luck. Last name, Sean Payton. Because yesterday, the Saints coach, in an effort to motivate his players, brought out 3 armed guards, a stack of $225,000 in cash, the Lombardi Trophy, and a Super Bowl ring. He then asked his players, quote, y'all want this? Win 3 bleeping games. Would this motivate you, Bo?
All right, now, I hate the idea of this as quote-unquote motivation because, like, Sean Payton, he don't need nobody to motivate him to get this done, but you got to go out here and do a show to motivate the players. That being said, that's one hell of a show. Like, if we can separate it from the motivation stuff and just talk about the show itself, $225,000 cash, you could probably smell that as soon as they opened the Ziploc. He walked in the door, and people were like, that smell like green. No, that smell like green. And then they got there, I just put my face in it, just...
There is no incentive like breaking out a bunch of money. This is the theory behind making it rain as opposed to handing out checks to people. This is the theory behind why when we go to a basketball game, people go nuts over t-shirts fired out of a t-shirt cannon. There is something in human nature, as condescending as it might be, to say, you want a carrot, here's the carrot at the end of this stick.
But again, ain't nobody putting that in Sean Payton's face.
No, they are not.
Also, the reason that you're not writing checks in that place, Pablo, who trusts a check written in that place?
I have very good credit.
Yeah, I bet you do. But no, man, let's see if they get this done. I say this is a better motivational thing than when Sean Payton was suspended for that year and they put that do your job banner on the wall. He's up there looking like Stalin, just a picture of him staring down at the people.
But meanwhile, by the way, Greg Williams is like, wait a minute, I thought this wasn't okay.
Well, actually,
I thought I wasn't allowed to do things like this.
Actually, I think that probably is pretty funny. Then somebody, when they pulled that money in there and said, y'all want to win this, they're like, tell me who, coach. Just tell me who. I'm going to take anybody out for $225,000.
Point me in the right direction. But yes, I mean, look, the direct deposit, the giant check, there's nothing like small bill theory. Just make it seem like a lot more than it is, even if rationally we know it's exactly what you're going to get anyway.
If it's $225,000, you ain't even got to use small bills. That is so much money to have at one time. And I tell you this, I want to know whose job it was to make sure that the same $225,000 walked in that building are going to be the same $225,000 that walked right back in the other direction.
Yeah, no transportation commissions.
Well, also, what happened to the guy in the facility when they walked in there and they said it was an armed guard, but you didn't see the money first? All you saw was the dudes, look, that's heavy metal they come in there with them armed guards with. When you see that dude walking with pump, okay, so there's money.
That's motivation.
There we go. Coming up next, can Bruce Arians and Jameis Winston win it all in Tampa Bay?
Hear ye, hear ye. High Noon is brought to you by ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. From above the Heineken River deck at Pier 17.
How have they not made a cologne that smell like money?
They really should. There's a real scent, and if people buy pheromones, like, why wouldn't this have a similar effect?
The only problem is you might smell like, hey, come holler at me, or you might smell like, hey, come rob me.
Yep. First quote. The whole thing is going to be built around him. I think he can win it all. Said new Bucks coach Bruce Arians about Jameis Winston. Bo, do you think Arians really believes that he can win it all?
I mean, yeah. Like, you're not going to come back at his age with the health problems that he has had, and honestly, with the level of success that he had when he was in Arizona. He's not coming here just to doodle around and just see how it goes. He thinks that this is a guy that has been used poorly in all likelihood and that he can be the one to turn him around. The only thing is people very often go off their initial assessments in situations like these and carry it all the way out, and they can't let go. So I don't know what it is that Arians has seen in Jameis that leaves him that convinced, but I believe he is.
I believe that at the very least it is his job to believe this. The guy who hired him, Jason Light, the GM, is the guy who drafted Jameis #1 overall. And this is obviously the year that they got to make a decision. Is this the guy for our long-term future? And a lot of people in that organization have already sunk so much that that's the most attractive pitch from your coach. You don't have to do anything different. I got this. You have everything you already need.
Yeah, but also they might. Like, if he is decent, then they kind of do. They've got weapons around him. The idea that it's all built around him, dude, that's already taken place.
So many
Mike
receivers.
Evans, O.J. Howard, you know, like Deshaun Jackson probably won't be there.
Cameron
But
Brate.
but they had already, because he went to Harvard. They'd already built this thing around him. It's a matter of whether or not he can be good enough to make it operate at a high capacity. Now, late in the year, the turnovers went down. That was the biggest thing that happened.
They did.
Right. When Jameis is not noteworthily good or bad, you don't notice. And what he was, pretty decent, right? Pretty decent can get you far in the NFL if you got stuff around it.
And some of that stuff has to be the defense. And he is bringing in Todd Bowles, who is a terrific hire. But can they make that defense, which was so bad at times last year, into something that can support him?
There we go. Quote, Kingsbury fits all the criteria to be a head coach in the NFL. He's an offensive genius, he's young, and he's white, and not necessarily in that order. Said Dallas sportscaster Dale Hansen. Let's listen.
Been a lot of criticism of the Arizona Cardinals hiring Cliff Kingsbury as their new coach. Even my guys Mike and Jonah have been questioning that hire. But Kingsbury fits all the criteria to be a head coach in the NFL. He's an offensive genius, he's young, and he's white. And not necessarily in that order.
Pablo, what's your reaction?
Dale Hansen is, for better and for worse, a really useful guy to have around in these times. And I say that because we love to kill the messenger, even if the message has some truth to it. We love to point out, pig socks, was he lying about the drug tests? No, the bigger picture message has always been right, which is that there is a larger racial inequity, and sometimes people need to hear it from a white guy who looks like he may not believe that based on his appearance.
Yeah, but are they going to listen to it? We do this thing every year. I would say the same thing about the Rooney Rule every year. I used to do things on radio on the podcast like this is my annual Rooney Rule segment where I say the same damn thing that I said the year before. And I'm willing to bet that this is not the first time that this man has said these things before. The bottom line is the NFL at some point has to demonstrate that they actually care about diversifying their coaching ranks, because the only conclusion that you could draw otherwise is that they want it to be the way that it is. Now, Judy Batista sent a tweet out of the NFL Network where there's some whispers around the NFL that there might be some pressure on Cincinnati to maybe make sure they make what she termed a diverse hire, because all these black dudes lost their jobs and nothing but white dudes have gotten their jobs. Here's what I point out. Right now, there are two jobs left, the Dolphins and the Bengals. Those are the two worst jobs probably that were there to be offered in this coaching cycle. The names that we're hearing about those two jobs, they're black people's names. That's a bad illustration of how this game works.
The Undefeated had a good piece today about the glass cliff, where it's not simply are you getting opportunities, it's what kind of opportunities are you getting if you're a coach of color, if you're a black coach in particular. And yeah, they're getting the scraps, but the double bind beyond maybe even getting the Bengals job is, dear Lord, now he's going to be the guy who got it because of affirmative action, because of guys like Dale Hansen and the pressure from people like us. guilting the NFL into making these choices as opposed to actually getting there on their own.
Yeah, but let me tell you, though, if that was what was happening, it would be a fair complaint for people to make at that point. If that did happen, you'd have no argument on the other side, and that's the worst part about this for the NFL. They don't even care enough to halfway get this right, but they don't get nothing right anyway.
Last quote. The NCAA has rules against college athletes receiving payments for endorsements or hiring agents. The bill would make it a violation of the state's consumer protection law to enforce those rules against college athletes in Washington. Wrote Jim Camden of the Spokesman Review about new legislation in the Washington State House of Representatives. Bo, could you see the NCAA allowing student athletes to receive endorsement money in the future?
No, nobody can. Like, maybe you could see it if they are forced by law. That's the only way this will happen. My thought has always been it would have to be a court case because no elected official of real repute could be the one to push this. Because if you're the one that, with all the rhetoric the colleges give you, that will have to shut down, you can't be the one to take down Alabama football. You can't be the one to take down Texas football. No, the NCAA keeps them broke because they want them broke. They wake up with some money, they're subject to go crazy. That is why we are in this position. So no, I don't think there will ever be a time that the NCAA is willing to give up the power because power goes away when all of a sudden these boys got some money in their pockets.
Absolutely, and I am pessimistic about the long-term, large, big picture effects of this, but it is notable there has not been legislation like this elsewhere, that this guy is Republican. This is a theoretically bipartisan effort, and this is an issue that shouldn't have to be divided politically. It's a matter of capitalism, as you point out. And by the way, I know Title IX and all of these complications emerge, but let them make money off endorsements kind of makes sense.
Studies indicate that attitudes about paying college athletes are very much so correlated to attitudes about race. Coming up next, how good are the Milwaukee Bucks?
Listen to this show through Apple Podcasts. Bomani's too. I've got a podcast. Where's yours, Pablo?
All right, none of us talked about with Sean Payton how maybe that trophy and ring might have been motivating. Nope, just cash.
Nope, all you need is really money. That's all we're here for, right? Not glory, not athletic performance. We just want $225,000.
All right, today's number is 725. That's the winning percentage of the first place Milwaukee Bucks. Brooke Lopez said Giannis is the best player in the league after they beat James Harden and the Rockets. How good are the Bucks?
Bucks are legit, and the Bucks did something interesting in this game, Bo. Beyond Giannis having 20 and 20, they were defending James Harden in a particularly interesting way. They had Eric Bledsoe meeting him right above the arc, basically taking his entire left side away. That held him to 13 of 30, which is a victory here for defending James Harden. All I'm saying is the Bucks are doing things interesting. They're trying to innovate, and they're legitimately good and talented.
I mean, they're top 5 offensive and defensive efficiency teams thus far. I think in defense, they're second in the league. So, yes, they are very good, and they are about as good as I think you can be if you've only got one guy that you feel like can get his own shot. And that one guy, by the way, can't shoot very far outside the paint. They are, as of now, they seem to be very well built to be a regular season juggernaut, but there seem to be weaknesses that when the playoffs come around, I still feel better about the idea to be Toronto and Boston. But let's talk about
we're here for one reason.
Yeah, come on. Let's watch James Harden play a little bit of defense, shall we? That would be a fantastic thing. That's not it there. Oh, yeah. Poor James Harden. I really don't know what he had his eye on at the time, but it was not the ball. But then next thing he knew, he had the ball on his eye.
That was like an 80-mile-an-hour cut fastball right into his dome.
And also, do we know who exactly he was throwing the ball to?
There was Brogdon in the corner somewhere, but to be quite honest, this is so perfect that you're like, wow, was it really that accidental?
Like that, it's not like Brogdon was just,
And also, if you have the beard, is your instinct as James Harden to tilt your head up such that the beard can perhaps cushion the ball because he didn't get to use that natural defensive so.
No.
It's so bushy. It's got to help.
No. In closing, welcome home, John Travolta. Welcome home. Y'all know John Travolta's been out here wearing wigs and stuff for the longest, fronting, faking out here. There he is right there. Like, now that we see that John Travolta has come on home, you realize how much movie money John Travolta has walked away from? He's set to be a villain with that look he got right there. The hard on the outside briefcase. In fact, when they make the John Paxson story about these runners, Chicago Bulls, there's your star right there.
This is a man who made so much bread off of having these flowing locks. I remember him in Saturday Night Fever eating 2 slices of pizza with just the hair glistening, but once you get exposed as the guy with the glue on your dome, You got to pivot.
No, but look at that weave, though, right there, man. Like look at what he was going with. He was riding this whole thing out. And I guess the thing is, man, once you've been Vinny Barbarino, you kind of want to be Vinny Barbarino the whole way out. You can't quite cut. You just can't quite stop.
And I don't blame him, except that now, if Nicolas Cage joins the club and finally comes home as well, which I think is also kind of, it's time. Yeah, face off, hair off.
I guess that is certainly one way to look at it.
In closing, let's go out to Kansas City, where local news station KCTV5 went out to get aerial shots of Arrowhead Stadium, but instead found some Royals employees living the dream. Let's watch. This is a helicopter shot. They did not expect to find Kauffman Stadium with a giant Mario Kart game unfolding, Bomani Jones, but as you may or may not know, Mario Kart is especially dear to my heart because it helped me learn how to drive.
That explains why you can't drive.
Which gave me an idea. We can do this here. We can have...
Did you really?
Yes, I did. I brought it. First off, yes, you've driven with me. There's no parking in Mario Kart, which made
Pablo, you're not good.
it all
You're not good.
kind of more sensible. Turn around. Come on. Look at this. Look at this. Who do you want to be? Because I'm going to go be myself because I've made my own me character. There I am. Check it out. Very happy, fist pumping. Shy guy? You're gonna go shy guy?
That's what his name is?
He's a shy guy, yes. Let's press okay.
Yeah, it fits my personality perfectly.
I'm gonna go and get a little bit of, one of those things. Press the right button. You're customized, you're getting rims for your car.
It's clearly an option.
We gotta go, let's do it.
Highly Questionable's coming up next.
You're about to get destroyed.